All right, earlier in the program, we spoke with former Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell about the battles in several states between governors and public unions. And here's part of what he had to say.
I believe they've served a dramatic purpose. I believe we have an American middle class because of unions. When you think about the wage imbalances and the imbalances in pay before unions, and think of what unions were able to do for the middle class, it's significant.
All right, so is Rendell correct? Let's turn to Nobel Prize-winning economist Ned Phelps, who is here with us today, professor at Columbia, and you are also the director of the Center for Capitalism and Society at Columbia, which is one of the reasons that I thought of you when I started reading more and more and when we started talking more about this issue. What do you think, first of all, about the role that unions have served, as Ed Rendell was talking about, and do serve now in this capitalism?
I'm just about the only economist I know who has a couple of really good things to say about unions. One is that I think workers do need a voice, and they need to be able to get out and give their opinions, to express themselves, and they can't do that individually. They have to some extent, do it in an organized way, organized by a union. And the other thing is that just like everybody else, everybody needs an agent. I have sort of an agent, and
big corporations have lobbyists.
Right, but big corporations have lobbyists and tax experts and everything, and workers need advice too, and especially they need advice on how to think about the pension plans and the medical plans and so forth. So of course there's a useful role for unions in America, but in the private sector, everything has become so competitive that I don't think the unions really have much leverage over wages anymore, and I'm not too keen on seeing them try to leverage wages up, because when a union pushes up wages, that pushes down jobs. So I'm not. I want to have the unions there, but for voice and advice and all that, but I don't think we need them to set wages. But in the public sector, with these giant state employers and huge big city governments, it seems to me the balance of power is very much against the individual worker. And here I think there's a very strong case for having unions there to protect workers from all kinds of all
right, so this
abuses.
is actually the heart of really the issue that we're seeing in Wisconsin, at least. You know, in other places, maybe it's more about giving up some benefits to avoid layoffs. But here, it's a battle about collective bargaining, or at least Ed Rendell says that's part of it. Do you think that then Governor Walker is wrong to take on collective bargaining? Do you think that the right-to-work states have done the wrong thing?
I think I understand that his concern about wages and benefits being pushed up too much, but I don't see that it makes any sense to abolish the unions. But I think in one way the governor has it upside down. The unions ought to be right there in bargaining over pensions, complicated things. It's less clear that we need unions to be bargaining over the wage rate. You need the technical expertise for bargaining over pensions.
And he wants it the other way around.
But the wage rate is a little bit a matter of the national interest, and I'm not sure there's a strong case for the unions to bargain over that.
Professor Phelps, when we look at kind of the struggles that are going on in states around the country, I mean, are governors targeting unions and other things wrongly? I mean, is that really what's caused the crisis for many of these states in terms of kind of closing their budget gaps?
You mean, should they be picking on somebody else?
Basically. Yeah, I mean, are they
which is what they
misguided?
say, right? I mean, when you look at the fact that bankers got huge bailouts, they're still getting $1 million bonuses.
Auto companies got bailouts.
Yeah, let me speak to that. The unions are talking about good wages for teachers as if the middle class or the survival of the middle class depended upon that. But as an economist, I would want to bring up the point that high wages for teachers serve some purposes. They're functional. you want to have a good selection of people to take the teaching posts. And you won't get a good selection if you try to pay very low wages.
On the other hand,
teachers.
what we see often in teachers' unions is that the best teachers don't stay, only the teachers that have been there the longest, right? When they want to fire teachers, they don't take into account the teacher's performance rather than
teachers get
seniority.
tenure and they get kind of maybe lazy in the last years.
I know that there's some criticisms that the unions deserve about their conservatism and their excessive protectionism of people with a lot of seniority. But I do believe, though, that it would be not in the national interest to cut wages of teachers when we need better teaching, and we don't want to see a decrease of performance by teachers. We don't want to see a poorer selection of people in teaching profession. So from both those points of view, I think the governor's picked on the wrong target.
What should he be picking on then? What's the right targets in your view, or right target?
Well, we could cut welfare.
But would that be political suicide?
We could raise taxes a bit.
Yeah. Again, political suicide?
Well, it hasn't been so good politically for the governor in the past week, has it?
Good point. Good point. Fair point.
So you're saying the tough choices are what they should be making, and they're not really taking that route?
Yes, right.
Entitlement spending, I mean, an issue on the federal level as well, right?
Oh, sure.
But what's the answer to that? I mean, we were just talking yesterday with an economist, talking about, I should say, an analyst who said the issues that we have as a country, the federal deficit, would be taken care of if we just wiped away Medicare and Medicaid.
Well, sure.
But you can't do that.
No, you can't. And actually, I'm reluctant I would be reluctant to see the Congress renege on its commitments on Social Security, on the things that retirements depend on. So it's a very tough choice. Maybe taxes will have to go up.
All right. Taxes will have to go up.
I told you, it's coming. Professor Phelps, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.